How's it going to nobody else that's watching?
Sid, you going to follow the chat? Because I can't have a chat open here without screwing things up.
I don't think there's anyone in here at the moment.
I've got it popped out. There's that dodgy J fella in there. That's about it at the moment. I might have to ban him.
Yeah, kick him out. Time out.
You got to be careful. You can't say censorship anymore.
Hey, Dr. Bob, do you know that when you've got YouTube open, you know the chat box? Do you know you can pop that chat box out and have it as an independent screen?
No, I didn't.
Next time you go to a live, you can up the top of the chat box. There's 3 dots. You just click on those dots, and one of the options in there will be pop out chat, and then that makes the chat box a separate window all by itself, and you can minimize that and bring it back up without having. You don't even need the YouTube live open. You can just have that chat open.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what we do when we're in a live. I can't have YouTube and StreamYard open at the same time either, so we have the YouTube live kind of sitting over the StreamYard chat.
Oh.
And then also too, when you've popped the chat out, you go to the top and there'll be top chat. You click at the arrow that's next to the top chat and make it live chat, and then you'll see every single comment that comes up.
Yeah, well, I haven't figured out the difference between the 2 chats, top chat and the other one.
Yeah, top chat doesn't show you every single comment. I don't know why. It's a bit.
If there's not a lot going on, there's not much difference between top chat and live chat. But if it's a really busy chat, top chat selects out what the important ones are and edits it for you so you don't see everything.
Yeah.
I wonder what rules they have for editing. Bad language or people trying to sell stuff?
I think it's just the algorithms just pick up what's relevant and what they determine is important to the chat.
Well, it's not it's a software program.
Yeah, I refer to software programs as they.
Oh. That's awfully Orwellian to me.
I refer to myself in the third person as well. That's royal.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to get out on my lathe tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got I'm the president of the committee of a community store we're setting up. It's sort of along a commission co-op type model when we open next Friday. So been madly, I build things, repurpose things and build things out of pallets. Amy, how are you?
How you going, Amy?
Hey, Blair.
How you going, Blair?
Hi, Blair, Sid, Amy, Dr. Bob.
How you going, Blair?
Hi, Blair, Sid, Amy.
Hello, Amber.
She said hello to Dr. Bob too, but I'm not too sure if it came through or not for some reason.
Yeah, I heard her, but I was pulling up the chat on my phone at the same time, so I didn't want to, screw it up.
I really got to get my cameras set up out in the shed so I can do some of this stuff when I get time.
Time to do it, or time to set the camera
Time to set
up?
it. Time to set it up. I got the camera about 6 weeks ago, but I've been flat out building furniture and that for this community store, so I just haven't had time to get it mounted up.
If you don't make time for yourself, you're going to end up being burned out.
So the interesting thing with this stuff I've been doing is it's stuff I really like doing. Like I don't find it tedious or stressful to do. It's just we didn't officially get our lease until the 1st of September, and we decided we were going to open on the 2nd of October. And I didn't have, because of the size of all the furniture, I didn't have anywhere to store it, so I had to build it and rebuild it and assemble it in the store.
What type of furniture are you building?
It's built out of old pallets.
Yeah.
Tables,
chairs.
Yeah, so it's the display furniture. So I'm building the sales counter at the moment. That's what I've built 5 display tables for throughout the store.
I've seen that done. It's really, really good. I don't know how you're going to finish it. Have you thought about it?
What do you mean by finish?
A top coat. Sand it?
No, they're just all white. So what I do is I basically just join pallets together to make it. So that's what they wanted. So there wasn't a lot of construction in it.
The wood is white?
The wood is pine, and I've painted it all white.
Oh, okay. Years ago, I used the pallet wood for a friend of mine back when downhill skiing was just starting in this country. I was probably 25, 26, and I liked it. I did a lot of skiing, but not downhill. I like cross country and approach skiing. And we did one, but we sat and we got in there and we used all the accent lines and scuffs and everything that was on the pallets that had been used 100 times. And we made that all as accents. And then as people come in and would spend so much money, we'd give them a medallion that they could nail to it. And that was the coupons. So you could say, well, look, I got $50 worth of coupons nailed on it here. And okay, we pry them off and put them back in the box and exchange them for product. But people would come in and say, well, hey, I see so-and-so, because when we did the wood vertically, and that's how you put all your tokens in there. So it was an interesting gadget, and it was a novelty, and that's novelties sometimes sell well. And it lasted a couple of years, and then they put plywood over it and did something different, made it a big chalkboard.
Okay.
How you going, Blair?
Hello there. Hey, Dr. Bob. Hey, Sid.
Hey.
Hi, Blair.
Hey, Blair.
Hi, Amber. Hi, Amy.
Busy doing nothing. How do you know when you're finished?
Right? Never.
Hey Sid.
Yeah.
Hey Sid. Someone's giving away a table. I think it might be a bench saw on Gumtree. They're giving it away. It's in Brighton. It's got a really heavy duty metal frame and a decent sized blade on it, but it won't fit in my car. So I just thought you might be interested.
I've got a table saw. So
I think this one's more of a bench saw, right? Okay. It's quite big.
Probably almost be a new.
It's really been used.
Type job to get it.
Sorry, what was that? Bloody planes.
Probably be a ute and trailer job to get it.
Yeah. Oh, Amber found it, and I'd love to go grab it, but there's no way it's going to fit in my little Corolla hatch.
Yeah.
Jamie's got the trailer for 2 weeks.
Sorry.
So when do you expect to have this build out done?
I've got a fair whack of it done. I'm just having lunch at the moment, but I've been working on it over the last 3 or 4 weeks. The display tables themselves are all made.
Uh-oh, look out.
Right from the horse's mouth, eh?
Or something. Oh dear.
I think his wife should be wearing the head, because what's that saying if he's wearing the head?
I just sent you a picture on Facebook, Dr. Bob, of the fit out in the store.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Oh, look out.
There's a nice.
So there's another one of those.
How you going, Robbo?
I can't win, I suppose. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, Robbo.
Guess I can unmute myself. Hey, Robbo.
G'day, Blair. Bob, Sid, Amy. Who else have we got? Nobody. Right here.
You'll see, Dr. Bob, I found a use for golf clubs.
And Amy, the cat behind you there, Sid.
Yeah, Amy's here.
Yeah, I like that. Very creative.
What?
His use of golf clubs.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. I'm busy doing about 10 things at once here.
It's a picture that he sent me.
Oh, right.
Rob, I'll just send it to you too so you can see what he's talking about.
Okay.
So, Jay, what kind of wood are you turning tonight? You said peppercorn, but
What was that?
what kind of wood are you turning tonight? You said peppercorn in the description, but
Yeah, it's pink peppercorn.
It's like it's good got a lot of good spalting to it.
Yeah, it has. It's nice.
it's beautiful.
I kind of have cheated on wood like that over my lifetime of turning with the spalting. I'm not going to say if I still do or don't, but it's hard to get the pens. But back when I was in school in the 60s, for mechanical drawing before computers were around, we used to have ink pens that had 2 millimeter thickness, smaller than that, going down to decimal sizes. So you could draw, each pen had a different thickness that it would draw. Well, I still have some, and you load ink into them and you can use them to draw. Except that I have used it on spalting because it's narrower enough that I can kind of darken some spalting in places and you can't tell it's got ink soaked into it because it's such a small pen. A draftsman pen, I used to for drafting. And I use it to enhance some of the woods that look plain.
Yes, Bob, you can still buy them. In fact, you can buy ones that are filled now. They're called Artline pencils, and they come from 0.05 millimeters, I think, up to 2 millimeters wide.
No, I have to look, but mine, it's one of the old ones that has a little lever you can suck the ink up in. So I just keep using India ink.
Yep. No, these youngies wouldn't know what we're talking about. Sorry, What was that, Jay? Or whoever was talking?
No, that was me. I said a long time ago, I used to have a really nice collection of pache that were just phenomenal that I used to do drafting with as well, and they since all dried up and went away.
For helping spalting show or accent, they're perfect. But it's I don't know if it's cheating or it's considered art. I prefer to say art.
I'd say art.
Definitely, Bob. Definitely art.
Yeah, I've had some buyers or people that I've given them to, and these are in urns and ashes. Their loved ones' ashes are going to go into it. And in one case, I happened to find what looked like to be a cross. It was kind of bent and twisted, but it looked like a cross that was on the mound, but it had fallen over from time. I mean, that's what I saw in it. But there was a bunch of other stuff around it. So I just picked the pen and made it look. I didn't trace it. I just inked out and there in different thicknesses and shades. And she had the urn, and they had the service, and they were keeping the urn on their mantle because of their dying love and wanted to be, have it there and blah blah. But it's sentiment. But about 6 weeks later, I got this phone call, and it was, Bob, you wouldn't believe. He's touching me. He's reaching out and says that he's in a better place. And I said, that's great. I appreciate it. And I can prove it. because I can see it. There all of a sudden has appeared Christ's cross on the side of it that's kind of leaning over. It took her about 4 months to find it. But she thought that had just happened. I don't feel like a fraud, but because I didn't tell her.
I'll start worrying, Bob, when you start shouting hallelujah, praise the Lord, you know.
Yeah, my brother's a retired Methodist minister, and he thought that was hilarious. And he says, it comes down to the old adage, the good Lord works in many strange ways. And I said, I thought that's what women did. And he said, well, that's the theory that God might be a woman, but we can't go there. They have a lot in common.
Get yourself into all sorts of trouble with that.
Yeah.
It was bad enough when they said, go on, Blair.
I was going to say there's an old joke that there is proof in the Bible that God is a woman, because there's a scripture that says, ho ho, Satan is abroad, something like that. It's a terrible joke.
You're right.
Well, it caused enough furor a few years ago when they said that Christ was probably black.
Well, he probably was.
Well, we would call him that, or brown, because that was normal. If he were white, he would have been considered an outsider right off the bat. I mean, the people there were not white.
So,
Yeah.
that's Bob. So I've got Amy and Bob here.
God.
Why don't you tell Bob to go round up some sheep?
Well, Bob and I are going to go out and talk to the cows in a minute. I better go out and do a bit more. So I'm going to sign off for a while. I'll catch you tonight, Robbo.
You certainly will, Sid. Thank you.
All right, mate. See you, Amy.
See ya.
Amy, I had a bit of takeaway Chinese for lunch.
Before you go, Sid, where did you send that picture to? Where'd you send the picture to?
Facebook.
I haven't got it yet.
In Messenger. Pretty sure I did. I better check I actually hit send.
Yeah, I must admit I've done the same thing, forgotten to press enter.
Right, showing up, as I said, it's just a coaxial board with golf clubs for the hooks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No worries.
Cool. I'm just taking a gander at it now. That's really clever.
Best use I've ever seen for golf clubs.
Oh, they make good weed whackers sometimes too.
Not bad for snakes either.
No, that's right, yeah.
Get a nice wedge, you can take the head clean off. Right, guys, I'll catch you later, Jay. I'll talk to you tonight. See you, Dr. Bob. Robbo.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
Well, Jay, did that CA solve your problem now? Good. CA is good for so many things. I know. It's been around a long time. Yeah. We used to
Yep.
have a little pack like that when I was in Vietnam that we carried. You kept it in your pocket because if you ended up getting a cut, you would pinch it together and have someone put a little CA glue on it to keep it shut until you could get to a medic.
Well,
And
that's medical CA.
yeah, but just the stuff you buy, if he were to get a big cut or a gash now, he could do that. And by
Oh,
the time he got to a doctor, he'd still have enough blood in him to, keep him going.
yeah, very true.
And it wouldn't hurt
Yeah,
him. It's just not as pure.
No,
Wish I'd
that's
known
right.
that a week ago. I sliced my heel open. I stepped down on the ground and I didn't realise there was a bit of metal there, and I gashed my heel open good and proper. And it took me about an hour to stop the bleeding. And I've only just been able to wear shoes today, so if I knew I could use super glue, I would have done that. Hey.
Yeah, but you still need a doctor.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
And it's a good way of holding.
Yeah.
And it's a good way of holding thongs on too, so they don't slip off your feet.
Yeah, but
Just
have you
keep
ever
some-
had CA glue in a cut? That stuff burns. Woo.
What? Yeah, don't ever get CA under your fingernail. Don't ask me how I know.
So I don't know if you guys have ever encountered this stuff. It's called methylate.
Yeah, that's been around a while.
Yeah, I remember that as a kid. And that was just like dumping alcohol, just right on your cut or, scrape, whatever. Ooh.
No, weird stuff out here called
yellow.
Yeah,
red
weird stuff.
tint.
Weird stuff out here called mercurochrome. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yep, just another name.
Yep.
Yep. Just, hey, Joe, you're not turning into Nick, are you?
Uh-oh, you got the finger wag. Guess it's good you didn't get the bird.
Yeah, he won't get the bird live, Blair. But if we were just in StreamYard, he would.
You're finally learning.
It sounds like you got opera on in the background.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, Robbo. That if it's not on in the background, it's not really Robbo. It's an imitation.
Like classical music.
Yeah, so do I. No, that's right, Amy. Mercurochrome used to fix all ills. Slap it all over it and it'll fix cough, squats, warts and moles.
Yeah, and they had that dauber in the bottle, which was a glass rod.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That and the other thing that we used to fear was something called paregoric.
Oh, yeah. But that could save your life.
I haven't.
Poison.
I haven't come across that one before.
It was nasty. Tastes like licorice, but only like devil spit.
Yep, and you better run to someplace to get rid of it because everything in your stomach's gone.
Yep.
But it would save you. It was life-saving if you had taken a poison. But that's back before people knew all the positives and negatives of what you need to have for poisoning. Because some, if you got a real caustic item, it's not what you want. You don't want to bring the caustic item back up through the esophagus anymore. You want to neutralize it within.
Yeah, you're right, Amy. It sounds like you're talking about Epicac.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another name.
Yeah, that's the stuff we got out here. Yeah, calamine lotion was pretty good too. Geez, I can remember kids at the beach being slathered in calamine lotion to stop mosquito bites and everything like that.
Still buy it here.
Yeah.
And it works. We have I forget the chemical for the anti-bite. In a little tube of it, it's expensive, and you just dab it on the mosquito bite. Oh, ammonia.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
old-fashioned ammonia, disinfectant ammonia. You have to dilute it a bit. That's all the afterbite is. But you put a little dab of ammonia on anything, mosquito bite, chigger bite, whatever, that swell up. But what it'll do is take the itch away because it neutralizes the sensors on the body at that point. So they don't sense it anymore, the itch, so you don't have to scratch it.
Ah, well, I never knew that.
Numbs those sensors. Yeah, ammonia, just good old-fashioned ammonia, but not pure. You dilute it some. But
yeah,
they charge like $9 for a kit of a dozen or so if to our dollar stores, but there's not much in them. Just a little plastic tube with a dauber on it. If you buy the single ones, it's like $4.50, and you're still looking at less than an eighth of a cup of the stuff.
Yeah, I can relate to that, Amy.
But it does work. It works well. The only drawback of using ammonia that way is that the smell of ammonia is still there, because the scent for whatever chemical is in the ammonia, the chemical formula, is made so as it's not sweet smelling or nice smelling, so little kids don't pick it up and drink it because it smells like Kool-Aid or something. So that's where the added odor of it was put in. Because I remember as a little kid, my mother having it in a bottle that had no smell to it. And then they come out and she was complaining that now the law makes them put the scent in it or the smell in it. But it doesn't affect anything. It's because she used to use it in her water, soapy water that she used to mop the floors with, and put some in there as a disinfectant.
Well, it's still the best way of cleaning fatty stuff. Oh, sorry. It's still the best way of cleaning down fatty grills and things, ammonia. Just put them in a sealed plastic bag with a cloudy ammonia in there, and they'll come out after a couple of days like brand new. It's how we used to clean all the grills in the fish and chip shop.
Wow. Didn't know that. Were they steel?
Oh yeah, it dissolves. Yeah, stainless steel or chrome steel as well. But if you put them in a sealed plastic bag, it might take a couple of days to dissolve it all, and try to keep it up use cloudy ammonia, and you try to keep it up out of the ammonia so as the fumes do the work, and it really penetrates in. Absolutely fantastic.
So, what have you been up to today?
Still working on what I'm doing tonight. I'm just got to make a couple of things up so as I get the point across.
Yeah, I set my clock to get up at 5:50,
Oh,
so I could watch it. 5:50 in the
no
morning.
worries.
But that's tomorrow.
No, well, yeah, for you it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't help it if you lag behind you lot.
Yeah, I got 7 minutes before it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see maybe it's the old fart in me. I think it's kind of humorous because the idea of being able to do what we're doing now in video in real time is just blown me away, because this is the stuff we used to pretend to do when I was, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old.
That's right. Like, well, we used to stretch 2 tin cans with a bit of string or wire between them, and thought that was pretty cool,
Oh yeah.
Being able to talk to one another.
I remember that.
And I got many a little smack on the hand for having my crystal set up on my window ledge, listening to the late night news and stuff when I was supposed to be asleep.
You're not the only one. I'll tell you a true story, and it's the type of story that you'd hear in either Ripley's Believe It or Not or some of the weird magazines out there. Given I was a ham radio operator, still am, and in middle school and high school, that puts me, up to grade 8 through 12. And I had my ham radio antenna that went up the side of the house, and it was about 65 feet in the air. Had guide lines for it. My mother was always afraid that I didn't have a red beacon so the planes wouldn't hit it. Finally, I had to get friends over, and we took it down and put one on top. But we didn't need it by law.
No.
But it made her happy, and I didn't get yelled at. So I could be on the radio at night, and I even moved my bedroom to the basement where my ham shack was, where I had everything set up in a corner of the basement. And she would get mad. I don't know if you've heard with the clothes chute, the tube that you could throw your clothes in on any floor. Well, she would, at 2 a.m, she'd open the clothes chute up next to her bedroom, 2 stories up, and she'd yell, "Bob, get off the radio. Go to sleep." And I was whispering, and at times I was using a key, Morse code, and I know she couldn't hear the click of the key. I went so far of trying to figure out what was going on when I finally had voice being able to communicate, that I had this big old cardboard box that came, and I modified it, and I took pillows, bed pillows, and stuffed inside, and a light and my microphone in there, so in a speaker, so I could stick my head into it like the cone of silence, if you remember Get Smart.
Oh yeah.
So I could be in there talking to people, from Southern California, because that was far away from Detroit, and England, it all depended upon propagation. I've only hit once to Australia, and that was the Morse code. But in the Northern Hemisphere, you could get good. And she always knew when I was on, and I kept looking to see what the problem was and how she knew. And she'd just say, "Woman's intuition, mothers know."
No, I know how.
How?
She could hear you up the chute, up the laundry chute.
That's why I even stuffed that full of pillows from the bottom.
You would have been a handful, eh?
And I tried everything. And she would I'd get up, and if there's no school or that, I'd be up, and she'd say, "You were on the radio pretty late last night. Are you sure you don't need to get some more sleep before you do the extra chores? You know, you got to cut our lawn and a neighbor's lawn because you promised you would when they're out of town." Okay. And I sat and I couldn't figure it out. Even when I went in the military, I would tell people about it, and they'd say, "Well, it's just women." And they had me believing that women had a sixth sense, and I just couldn't. And then, oh heaven, 40 years later, 50 years, 40 years later from there, just physically on her deathbed, she died of cancer, and she was in the hospital. Had kidney failure is the final reason. The kidneys failed, and the equipment wasn't what it was supposed to be, and cancer set in there. But I was sitting on the chair next to her, holding her hand, and she was talking, and she was very lucid and talking about when we were kids, between my brother and sister and my dad. And it was, we knew she wasn't going to last, an hour or two. That's what the doctors were saying, because the heart was getting slower. And she, I asked her, "How did you know when I was on my radio, Mother? You never tell me, and I couldn't figure it out." And she just grinned, and she said, "Because my desk lamp would flicker on and off." And I just, there was no connection.
That's classic.
I thought,
sending.
It made no sense to me. But afterwards, we went home, and we already knew she was going to pass away, and didn't know when. Within a day or two, the doctor said. So we had all the arrangements made. So we went back to the house to talk about what we had to do next, and make all the phone calls to relatives and tell them she passed away. And it bugged me. And how did she know? When I walked into her bedroom, and this desk lamp, I went over and looked at it, and I had put new light bulbs in it for her several times, and they were fluorescent.
Yep.
And then it hit me like a brick, because my antenna cable and tower was outside of her window, and the RF energy leakage from my coax was making the light flicker.
Yeah, picking up radio induction.
Yes, induction through the brick wall.
Yeah.
And she just thought it was God telling her that, and she honestly believed it, because she didn't understand the technology, because she moved it a few times, but it always was sitting in that corner of the room, because that's where the bed sat. So every time I was on my radio and had the linear kicked in, I was pushing 1,500 watts and 3,000 watts. It just made it flicker brighter.
Yeah.
Now I know why she kept that lamp there, so she could keep an eye on what you were doing.
Well, she honestly believed it was a sign from God telling her what I was doing, and because I was a techno geek, and it bothered her that I could open the back of the TV set and change tubes, and to do so on some of them you had to discharge the high voltage, and that was a loud
Yeah.
bang when you did it. You know, two
Oh
screwdrivers,
yeah.
one to ground
Yeah.
and one to the top of the tube, and then you crossed them.
Yep.
The two metal screwdrivers, but you had to do that or it would kill you when you got in the set. But I was a geek. I knew electronics.
No, that's the same as some Toyotas. Geez, there's been a lot of early mechanics that got a hell of a shock when they put their hand up behind the dashboard of the Toyota Crown it used to be. They'd put their hand up there to work behind the dashboard, disconnect the speedo cable or something like that, and they had a massive capacitor up in there. And geez, it used to give you a hell of a kick.
Oh yeah.
But no, it's just as well she didn't know Morse code, or you could have been right in trouble if she knew what you were saying.
That's funny.
But I've been doing it, oh heavens, 12 years, 13 years, 12 years or so before, along, on and off.
Yeah.
And it starts off, with a 25-watt transmitter and not a big antenna. It was between the house and the garage, a single wire. But, I was in middle school, and that was enough so I could talk through Morse code to a friend of mine that was across the street and down the way who was learning Morse code too. And I was helping him with tests, and we practiced back and forth on homework that way with our own shorthand.
It sounds like Jay and I with my cameras. We've been testing things on and off for the last bloody month.
I just laughed at that one. I was on mute. I forgot.
But to me, I should have guessed it. But it's one of these things that it just goes over your head. You know it would do it,
Yeah.
but you never dreamed it was happening. I just took it for granted. It was her desk lamp, and about every 3 years, I'd have to get a new fluorescent tube and just plug it in because she was afraid of electricity completely. Many a time in middle school, that's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I'd blow a fuse in the house, and I knew where the spares were quick, so I could get it fixed, and I'd make sure that nobody was home, or other than my father and my uncle and that. But if she was home and the fuse blew, oh boy, there's a problem. I'm playing with electricity again, and it'll kill me. So I'd have to go and reset the clocks to make sure that they weren't that far off. Even though I had fuses on my bench, I could run quickly and change. Because she caught me on that a couple times where it would take too long, and the clock would be 5 minutes off. You've been playing with electricity again, Bob.
Yes, it's even worse with your own children when you turn around and say something to them and you realise that it's your father talking.
Yeah. That looks great. What are you putting on it, Jay?
A little mix I've been working on lately. Instead of using linseed oil, I've tried a different oil. with the shine juice. It's linseed oil.
Oh.
So I'm trying walnut oil mixture instead.
Oh, I love walnut oil. I've got a can of it, and I mix it with different things. And it's food safe, and that's a nice part.
I'm just going to make a cup of tea.
All right, no worries. Yeah, I like the shine of the walnut, and I just wanted to see what it was going to be like with a little bit of shellac. Comes up much better than the linseed oil mix, that's for sure.
Yeah, the walnut oil will actually deepen the color, and then the shellac will seal it all in.
Yep.
So what did you do, Blair, when you were a kid?
Kind of an electronic funny story. Back when I was a senior in high school, I was living in California, and I kind of ran with a group that was into CBs, and we would go all over California and, you know, get on different mountains or, you know, hilltops and stuff like that. And we'd just sit and chat, and, you know, we could actually reach quite a long distance. And I had some buddies that they would call it peaking and tweaking their CB, and they would actually put a oh god, I don't even remember what it's called now, but it would put more power to the CB.
Linear.
A linear, that's it. They would put a ring of their keys on their antenna, and then they would key up their mic, and that ring of keys would just shoot up their antenna. And I was always quite envious of that, because I never really had that kind of a setup. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Breaker 19. Did you ever tweak the radio to get the backside frequencies?
No, I never could really afford it. I was pretty broke, you know, being a senior in high school, so I was lucky to have what I had.
At that, most of the radios you could just go inside and cut a wire and put a jumper in them. But yeah, I had that and went through that bit, but I kept fearing if I played with it too much and got caught, I could lose my ham license. And not only that, I had a FCC at that time second phone until I got, as a senior in high school, I passed my first phone broadcast license, and that opened up a whole new world. I
imagine. You know, I've always heard about being able to, you know, talk to people in Australia and all around the world, and I always thought that was just cooler than ever. I always wanted to visit Australia, and but yeah, I just never could you know, get enough money to do that, and the hobby just kind of went away.
Well, my license at FCC broadcast, FCC first phone broadcast, and the local TV station needed someone to work nights. And I had the license to actually be in charge of a 50,000 watt transmitter.
Wow.
And there was a big argument because the head of the FCC at the time, Ben Waffle, was saying at the time I was 17 and I was too young, but the law didn't have an age to it. And I had the local newspaper get behind me and a few other people in Washington when they heard it from the newspaper articles, and he let me keep the license because he couldn't take it away because I passed the test and there's no age requirement. So the TV station also at that time also owned the Detroit News, the newspaper, who ran the articles, decided that for publicity they'd hire me to be a night engineer for their TV station across the street. So I got a nice job. I went to work at the station at 10 o'clock at night, and I got off at 6 in the morning. And it was interesting even more so because all of a sudden the girls who thought I was a horrible geek and they didn't, didn't quite fit in their circles. It's, can I see the TV station from behind? Can you get me a tour? Or I might, is there someone there I could talk to and see what it's like if I want to be in TV? And yeah, that's no problem. Well, you can go down with me or have your dad drop you off or take the bus. Back then, buses were safe to ride. And they'd come in and have their dad pick them up, at 1 o'clock in the morning because I had to be there all night. And I'll tell you, it was a great pickup line. Come down to the TV station with me for the night. And all I did was did the late night news, ran the switch for it. So what cameras, they were all aim them and walk up back to the control booth and push buttons. And afterwards, take the cameras, clean the lenses, put the caps on them, and get everything in the studio set up for the morning news when they come on the air again with live news. And also every 28 minutes, go change the movie reels because we ran movies all night. And then I'd have to do the announcement and a few commercials between movies and breaks. But never my face, it was just the voice. But that attracted a lot of women that wanted to date me.
Well, you're a movie star.
Oh, we had a weatherman named Sonny Elliott, and that was his name, Sonny. But he loved to hang out in the bar down the street. And when he had to do the 11 o'clock weather, because that's when it went to movies after that, the 10 o'clock news, and then there was a sports and some Christian show that went on, and then at 11 o'clock he'd come on and do the weather. And he was so drunk most of the times. We had this rack that was there before I was. It was a big paint can, the big 55-gallon drum or whatever the big 20-gallon drums they have for commercial paint, full of concrete. And it had a pole come up it, and it had this little brace that went around his back, and it had a belt, and you could take and belt him to it, and he could rest his head comfortably, and he could stand there and do the news. And he was so drunk, you had to carry him to a taxi at times, and the driver would come in and help me get him into the cab to take him home. But we had to strap him up so he could do the late night weather. And no one knew that except if you worked there.
Well, it's like a lot of newscasters in early TV here. Never always just wore shorts or something, shorts and thongs underneath their thing because studio lights are that bloody hot. And they just have their shirt and tie and jacket on, but shorts underneath. Occasionally someone would get sprung because the cameraman would come in from the side instead of the front,
Yeah. Oh, it was that way in the station too, because there was no air conditioning to handle it, because the vacuum tubes in all the electronics couldn't take that type of shift in temperature. The studios, commercial studios, that was different, but they were all, the biggest one would hold a 200-seat audience, and I think 5 cameras it supported. And they used to do things like Howdy Doody and a bunch of live kid shows on Saturday there, and then music and some other stuff on Sundays. And I'd get called in to push a TV camera or something. But it was fun working there. But I only got half of the pay that the people who were, quote, adults got. It was a big pay difference, but I had a license equal to and better than probably all of them there. There was only 3 others in the station, and they were in their 50s and 60s that had the same grade license.
Life
but I can understand discrimination.
Now, who said something there? Was that you, Jay?
No, his mic's muted.
No, it was probably me. I just said that life isn't fair.
Ah. Jay, you are going to run into horrible trouble doing that. Yes, come round from that face.
Because the front of it's like...
Yeah, I know, but still come in from the front and just do little cuts like I showed you on the edge to get it flat, all right? Once you've got an inch...
I was going to do that.
Once you've got an inch of the outside flat, then you can take out the middle because it's easy. Why make life hard for yourself?
My name's Jason, isn't it?
Yeah, well.
I'll mute the microphone so my wife can make weird noises in the background.
Yeah. No, turn the handle around outside and use the side of the flute. No, right round, 45 degrees. Out to your left. Put the handle in your left hand. Remember I said that lathes are made for left-handed people when you're doing that.
Yeah, a trick that I try to think of when I have problems like that is, and I don't know who told it to me, is that you're always try to push towards the headstock.
Exactly.
Like you're trying to keep the wood in the chuck. Don't give it a reason. If you get it from the side, it's like you're trying to pry it out of the chuck. And when in doubt, put a tailstock in there to hold it.
Yeah. No, Jay.
No.
Handle right out to the left-hand side. Put the chisel in your left hand. Hold the handle in your left hand. Now, further round, so as you just... Now, put the flute at 45 degrees. Now, you can go out towards the outside edge. Right, now just push it straight forward. Don't slide it sideways, just push it straight forward until it comes down flat and doesn't bounce anymore. It saves the chisel bouncing in your hands as it's moving across. Now come in about 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch towards the centre and do the same again. Look at the way that it peels off. Now you've got a flat surface to work on. Once you've done that a couple of times, then you start sliding towards the outside edge to start forming the edge. No, still use it the other way around. No, don't start in the centre, move towards the outside edge. Always work from the outside edge and keep the pressure towards the headstock. Like that. That's it. Very good, grasshopper. All right. See you later, Amy. I'll see you tonight. Thank you. Bye.
See ya, Amy.
Yeah, it's already tomorrow here.
Oh, well, I'll see you tonight too then.
Well, I set my alarm. Get up at 5 in the morning, our time, 5:45.
Yeah.
I set the coffee pot to have a pot of coffee ready.
That's the most important thing of the whole business.
Robbo, I'll have to catch it later because that'd be 4 in the morning for me.
Yeah, I know that. I know, you just don't love me, Blair.
Nah. What are you going to work on tonight?
How to turn a bent back leg of a chair.
Okay.
I like to do things that most normal people don't do. Like I'm a spindle turner. I'm not a bowl turner, and I try to make things.
Hi.
See ya. What?
That's for your mum.
Bugger, Mum. All right. You have a good day, Don. I like to do things that most people have never seen before.
Yeah.
I like that.
And let's face it, a bowl is just a block of wood with a hole in the middle.
Yeah, I got really pissed today at my computer. And it isn't Windows or anything, because I can understand the problem. I have had a good webcam, and it wasn't a cheap one. And in an update, Windows update today, it tagged it as being very insecure.
Yeah.
For security purposes, camera, and it's on a watch list, and it locked it out.
Oh, that's handy.
Because its driver was remotely accessible. Even if I had the camera on, because it technically never turned off except it looked like it did.
Yeah.
One of the China specials, and Microsoft caught it, and by the type of package and software that ran it, and I'd had it for about a year, and it was a $70 camera. But it turned it off as being a high security risk.
Well, I must admit I'm not normally paranoid, but all the cameras on my laptops, I've got solid tape over the lot of them.
I do nothing that I'm
so they
ashamed
can't
of.
be used. Oh, neither do I, but you just never know sometimes, you know.
Well, that's the same as putting newspaper over your windows, so peeping Toms can't get in.
Yeah, well, that's true.
You know, they say the same thing about the, Alexa and Google Home Minis and all that kind of stuff. And, I just figure if they're that bored and they want to listen to my boring conversations, wow, they need to get a life.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of like that too, but I must admit, as a friend of mine is in a little bit of trouble with the company he works for at the moment, because he's tied up with the Defence Department and government departments and things, and his phone got read by somebody else's computer, and it's got a lot of sensitive information on it, even though the phone was supposedly locked out by their security company, so that it couldn't be read. One of these new Apple iPhone all singing, all dancing things, and one of the computers on one of the desks started downloading everything off it. So that's caused a hell of a furor in the department he's working in at the moment.
Oh yeah, and Apple probably didn't even know they existed. And
No,
I'll
well,
tell you, that's something you don't want out because they pride themselves on their security. But Alexa, yeah, I have 3 of them, and I find them handy. Uh, One of the things that I enjoy at night, I'll simply tell her to uh, what old time radio show and name one that I remember as a kid or a young boy, and they're all online, and there are so many providers of them, and I can lay in bed and listen to stuff from the 40s and 50s. Uh, Last night it was actually Buck Rogers' radio program, 9 episodes of it. And
Hey,
it
Bob.
brought back memories because I remembered the show. I was guessing ahead because I remembered what was going to happen. And that was, when I was 7, 8, you know, it's amazing that I can bring that brought the memory back. And after the second episode, I knew what was going to happen because I'd heard it that long ago.
yeah. Oh,
Hey, Bob.
my
If you
mother's
don't mind me asking, how old are you?
75.
So, tell you a little story. My dad is 86 years old, lives by himself. He is quite the videophile, and loves sports and all of that kind of stuff. Maybe about 5 years ago, we actually got him the internet in his apartment and got him an iPad and got him hooked up to YouTube and all of that kind of stuff. And then a couple of years ago, I ended up getting him a couple of Google Home Minis, and it was like this dim guy just had all of these lights just turn on, and he was like a kid in a candy store. He's talking about all of the stuff that you're talking about. All of that stuff he can find with, just asking Google to find it for him.
Yep.
I know. Like, I quite often listen to a couple of radio stations on the internet instead of the iPod, and mainly because they play the music I like. But I know my mother's astounded. My mother's 90 years old, and she's astounded what I remember from when I was 3 or 4 years old.
Well, I like radio stations, you sit and they give you call letters and that because they broadcast, but so many of them today are online only.
Yep.
And I find that intriguing. There's no listing, you just have to know. And I just love it. I mean, I can go and ask for a program. I can ask to play a certain piece of music because I subscribe to a couple of the big music sources. I can get my podcasts. I can be in the shop working, and often that's where I am, and I have it tied to my phone. So if the phone rings, it answers the phone. It tells me who's calling from the caller ID and asks me if I want to take the call. And I can be on the lathe working and talking at the same time, and not have to pick up the phone. And if I want the shop fan on, I simply ask her to do it, and it turns it on. And when I come into the shop, the first thing is turn the compressor on because I don't want it to run all night. I got a pin hair leak and I haven't. I. It's going to take a bit to find it. It's in a pipe somewhere. All the fittings are tight. Either that or I got to redo the head of the compressor, which isn't hard. Done it before, but it's a convenience. Like if I want the lights off in the room I'm at now, I simply ask and it's done.
Extreme laziness, Bob.
Yeah.
No, we got the technology. Might as well do it.
Well, we have it. We can set the thermostat that way. You can, on my tablet now, I can open the camera and see if there's someone in my shop. I got a security camera out there, and it does visual recognition. I have a good friend that I've let come in and use the shop, and it'll recognize him, and it doesn't set an alarm off. It doesn't tell me anything. It's perfectly all right. You can come in, and all he has to do is, ask her to, flip the light on, and the camera is there, and it lets him in without setting an alarm. And he can work all night and clean up. The only thing it does is doesn't make sure that it's all clean before he leaves. But that happens.
Yeah. I was telling you yesterday about my brother in New York. Flair hasn't heard this, so I'll say it again. My brother was working in New York and he was letting his daughter and one of the other kids live in his house while he was away over there. And everything is run by his phone. And he frightened hell out of him the first couple of nights because he could switch lights on and off, change the volume or switch the TV on and off, turn the air conditioning on and off, open and close a couple of sliding doors. They thought the place was haunted. He was having a bloody ball.
Yes, that could drive a person crazy. Think of what you could write a play around it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you read the play, you'd say this would be perfect in the 50s because no one would have the technology then. Other than Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon and Dick Tracy.
Tracy, that's right. No, he played merry hell with them for a day or two.
Oh, I can do that to my brother. But you can take Alexa and connect them together. If I know the IP address of yours and you have one anywhere in the world, I can ask it to connect to that address. And it's online and how to do it. It's called drop-in.
Yeah.
And you can actually, and I set my sister up. She's got 3 or 4 in her house, but she's got a big house. It's on the side of a hill, and there's 5 stories going down the side of the hill. And she can ask and do an alt call and who's done this, or does anyone know where my paints are, and it's kind of unique on how all that has helped, and you don't have to run up and down stairs to do stuff.
Yeah, just sorry to interrupt you for a minute, Bob. Jay, just switch that off for a minute. Put your speaker on. Right.
What's going on?
Now, you're doing a great job on that. I can tell just by the way the shavings are coming off, even though I can't hear it. But just check those cracks. All right?
Yep.
Because now that you're starting to get it. Yeah, because you probably have to put more super glue in there now from the inside. Sorry, Bob.
This one here.
Yeah, that's the one that went right through, isn't it?
Yeah.
Goes right through the whole bowl. So just take a few cuts and check to make sure whether you're still into the super glue or not. Because that bowl is actually coming up nicely, and it'd be a shame to lose it just because of a crack.
I can still see super glue right there, but I can't see it in here.
Yeah, right. Well, that's where I'll be putting it, so it flows down into there, right?
That's where a heat gun is handy. You heat the wood and then put the glue on and it sucks it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now's the time too, because you're going to take a few more cuts on it and the surface glue will be gone. The telltale part of it.
But whenever you're working on something like that, it's no shame to check it frequently, I tell you.
With this new drop-in, with the one I've done it to my sister. Instead of calling each other, you can do it that way. And you can set it up so if a person, if you want to accept drop-ins, it'll tell you who's calling ahead of time, and you have to say yes and take it. It's just like a telephone conversation. But if you're within a house or like when her kids, they've got them, and it's set up in their house. So if there's noises in the house, like an alarm, my sister knows, and they're like 45 miles away. They can hear everything. Plus, the other thing, it goes into a recording mode. She's got an app, and it's like, yeah, we got a recording of whoever it was that broke in. We can hear them, and they're talking and whatever, and it's all done through that Alexa. And it can notify the police too.
Yeah.
Wonder if Google has that.
Don't know. I got one in the house, but it's used by the young lady, the girl here. I gave it to her for Christmas last year, and before I got into the Alexa bit, or 2 years ago, and she loves it. She's used to it, so that's fine. She controls her bedroom lights with it. It wakes her up with music, the same as it. There's going to be a meeting where they will be interchangeable, so they'll talk to each other. And that's going to take a while, but it's going to happen. Outside developers are working on it.
A lot of these new products, I think, become a challenge to developers to see if they can make them work better.
Oh yeah, I got a new mesh router or a mesh network here. That's where the nodes talk to each other, and you can put the nodes around the property, and it keeps a high speed because I got a gigabit service. It's available. I dropped the TV service because I don't need it. We don't need boxes at a TV. If you want to put it on TV, stream it from your friggin' phone. And I bought YouTube TV, which gives us all the local stations, all the Canadian stations, because we're so close to the border. And it's the only one that does. Because we've been used to watching them. And it's half the price of what I was getting for half the service. So everyone's getting used to it now, streaming.
Unfortunately, Australia is a bit behind in that regard, but any TV service, anything that streams costs a fortune in Australia. And besides which, I don't have enough hours in the day to watch bloody TV.
Yeah. Well, you can still see the streaming stuff from around the world
Oh, I know,
at no
yeah.
cost.
I do.
We have
Occasionally, like
become
this.
a global community.
Oh, definitely. It's just a
The
pity
big
that
thing here
globally.
for the high school kids has been for quite a while is I think they call it Jenga or whatever from Japan. It's the art and the music and the cartoons and I don't know. It's very popular, but they're getting it right from Japan now and China. They're big into it. South Korea has their own style of it. And it's all animation, and they're busy watching and comparing.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I'm going to go cuddle with Tammy.
Sorry, what was that, Blair?
I'm going to leave you guys and go cuddle with Tammy.
All right.
Probably
All
more
right, thanks for coming in, Blair.
Absolutely. And
See you later.
you guys have a good night.
Yes,
Bye.
you too.
Say hello to Tammy for us.
Well, if I'm going to get up in 5 hours to see yours, I probably ought to get to bed.
Probably a very good idea, I think, Bob. Yeah.
It's what, 4 hours and 20 minutes or something from now?
Let's see. 15, that's 3, yeah, 5.25 hours away.
Yeah. So
All right, well,
I better go
good.
in bed so I can get up and see you.
Yeah, all right. Good night, Bob. Nice chatting
Good
to you
night.
again. I'll
Yeah.
catch you tonight.
Jay, it's really one of the best pieces I've seen you do.
It is. It's very, and I hope he can't hear me because he'll get a swelled head. He's actually cutting it properly too.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. I appreciate you coming in. You're welcome back anytime.
Okay, got to keep that in mind. At my age and not working, I got plenty of time.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
I'm just giving the Undertaker a run for his money.
Yep.
Good night. Good day, all.
Yeah. I'll be back in half a second, Jay.
Yeah, no worries. What's going on? Getting a bit noisy out here, girl.
No, you're doing a good job on that, Jade. Like the way the shavings are coming out of that's a perfect cut.
All right, thanks.
So maybe you have learned something over the time.
Yes, maybe. It does. It gets hammered in eventually. All right, I'll just try not to touch the piece now. I'll just got ink all over my hand.
I need to fill it.
You can talk with that cord. This goes through.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's another piece of cardboard.
If you need any more cord, the extension cords on the porch.
No, I can put the paper on it.
Sounds like a single engine plane taking off.
Trainer.
Yeah.
High wing.
Probably a Cessna 142 or something.
It's got a motor and it's flying over my house. That's about all I know. Oh, you're lucky you weren't here earlier. The choppers that were flying over far out.
Yeah?
They're on steroids this morning. It's going crazy.
Hello, Amber.
Hi, Robbo.
She heard herself back on the speaker and she's like, oh.
It's been on mute most of the day.
Mute's just safer when people are talking. You all set up for tonight?
No, I've still got a little bit to do.
I'm missing those inside.
Yeah.
The doctor.
What do you do?
I got the wrong tip on the burner. I can't burn that. And it's heated up now too.
That's all right. Just get the pliers.
Oh yeah, it's not that long.
See that flat spot there?
Sorry, yeah.
That's all punky there.
You can't turn that out. You've got enough room there.
Yeah, no, it was originally about that big. I had turned a lot of it off.
Yeah, I'd turn the rest of it off too. Might as well make it perfectly round. There's two flat spots on it actually by the look of it.
Oh yeah, yes, I see that.
There's one towards you and there's one at the top. Yeah, one there and one up the top.
It smells a stinky dog.
What happened, isn't it?
No, you handle out. Put it in your left hand. You have much more control that way. Got rid of them?
No, nearly.
Right. No, listen. Just curl the rim over a little bit. All right. You just need to take those.
Yeah, so there's no point.
Yeah. So you're not reducing the height of the bowl at all. You're just taking that little bit off. Have a look and see if they've gone.
I can still see it wonking it.
Oh, yeah. They're reducing?
Yeah. A little smidgen left. Keep dropping me in my shit.
Yeah. Fire exit plan for you.
Has it gone or not?
Yeah.
Right, now, wait on. This is something you've never tried before.
Yep.
See if you can do an undercut rim on the bowl, right? Now, you can do it with that bowl gouge. What you've got to do is put the tool rest right across the front.
Yep.
In fact, you can angle the tool rest in towards the centre of the bowl a bit. Leave the banjo there. Right. Now, get your chisel. Oh,
Well, just
put
before
your
sorry.
Yeah, put your super glue on first.
Yeah, I've found another split. So.
Yeah, right. Well, whack your super glue in there first.
All right.
Right, now get your chisel. And you have to use your right hand for this. Right, now put it right over, the handle right over towards the side. Get the bevel rubbing on the inside there. But what you're going to do is you're actually aiming towards the outside wall to get an undercut in there, all right?
Yep.
So what you got to do is just sit the chisel in there with the bevel rubbing against that side wall there.
Yep.
And then you move the handle away from you until it just starts cutting. And then it's the same cut as what you did on the outside, just sliding it forward on the wing.
Yep.
cut on the wing. Give that a try. Now it may kick, so make sure your thumb's bracing the blade. All right.
Yep.
That's it. Right. Now, come up to the top again and just make another cut. Exactly the same. Only move your handle away from you a bit more, that's all. So you get a good cut down there. Now when you get to there, you just slide the chisel in towards the centre to get rid of any waste out of there. But keep the flute at 45 degrees so you're cutting on the wing. No, don't bring the handle around. Just slide the chisel straight across the rest, towards the middle. That's it. Just get your flute around at 45. Basically what you're doing on the inside there is the same as what you did on the outside to flatten off the top, right?
Yeah.
And watch out you don't go through the bottom of the bowl or the side. Now, is that undercut now?
Yep.
Now, you could spend $120 and buy a tool to do that if you want to. All right, I'm going to have to go in a minute.
All right. Thanks for your help.
That's all right. That's looking good, actually. I have to agree with Bob. That's probably one of the best ones you've done.
Yeah, thanks. I like this one. How you going, Yappy?
Hey, Yappy. I'm just on my way out. Sorry about that.
Oh, Rob, I did go.
Yappy says it's okay, Rob. I'm used to you running away. He's got to get set up for his live tonight. Yappy. He still had a couple of things he had to try and work out, so. Burning wood. She's making a family tree for her mum.
No, I'm doing gardening signs now.
Okay, she's doing gardening signs as well, just like ones you see on cartoons, you know, when it says that way is east, that way is west, that kind of thing, you know. Yeah, cheers. It's spalted peppercorn. Loads of cracks in it, but it's not the first time I've worked with loads of cracks in this particular type of wood. So
Yeah, I just had to do Caleb's name and I was done.
yeah, yeah, I do, but other people might buy it. You never know. I've done an undercut in this one, so it scoops in a little bit. Never done that in a bowl before. It's actually quite nice today. It's been crappy raining and just constant rain last couple of days, and we got a nice sunny day today. How about you? How's work and family and stuff going? Oh yeah, that's nice wood too. That is that locally grown jacaranda, or did you get it from someone that imports it? Oh, so there's plenty of jacaranda lying around then. It's like olive wood is a pest here as well, so there's always plenty of that getting chopped down. We've got a Mediterranean climate, so it's grows really good here.
This wood is terrible to burn.
Yeah. Enjoy your money. What grid? What's that mean? Hey? Talking about this. Just getting rid of my shitty tool marks. Sometimes it gets to the point with me where I'll try to get rid of them, and the more that I try, the more marks I'll put in there. So I'll just get to the point where I just start sanding it.
I think I'm good. Look,
Yeah.
I think the Gone Fishing in Fairy Garden works better.
They'll still come out alright.
That's it, done. I just have to pour them and then pour onto the pieces. Oh, that's
Yeah, could be right. Hey?
yeah. You did done by train or not?
Easy. Yeah, like I've said before, when she's busy, you got to let her be busy because once she stops, that's it. That's game over. Well, I read that as me. Yeah. No, I've got a drill attachment, but I've only got 240 grit pads for it. There you go, Mike. Like, wait. Thanks, Mike. No, I believe that, Yappy. It's the same in Australia, mate. Exactly the same. I had to buy a... it's the same with these guys too. Normally I'd just wear the disposable ones, but I had to buy this online because I couldn't even get one in the shops here. So I fully understand where you're coming from with that, Yappy. All these big companies want to make some money, then come on, pull your fingers out. I'm not going to sand it anymore. It's mostly got a couple extra spots I could take out, but the heat, the friction from the heat is cracking the wood a little bit more, so I'm not really that keen on adding any more cracks to it. I made a new version of Shine Juice too, Yappy. comes up really nice. It actually works a lot better than the linseed oil that a lot of people use, or basically everybody uses. Walnut oil, mix that in instead of linseed oil. Comes up beautiful. Dumpster diving is good when you can find the right ones to do it in, isn't it, Mike? Yuppie, another place you could try for shellac if you haven't found any at a reasonable shipping price. Why don't you have a look at... I found honestly, I cannot remember the name of it, but I found a South African nail polish company that puts shellac in there. Well, most companies put shellac in their nail polish, but wonder if there's any avenue of maybe hitting them up to see if you can get some shellac or something. I don't know.
Oh, wow, I love it.
Nice, isn't it?
It's very pretty. Look at it all. Oh. Mm-hmm. Getting better.
Got 3 other pieces from that one piece that's got all that spalting in it.
Awesome.
Okay, all right. I'll be. I'm gonna give this a bit of a Yorkshire grit, and then I'm gonna chuck some of my shine juice on it, and then I'm gonna abruptly end the stream and disappear. Okay, so this is your pre-warning. Yeah, thanks, Happy. Definitely helps to use the glove. Use a little bit of the friction from the glove to massage in the Yorkshire Grit a bit, that's for sure. See you later, Mike. Thanks for coming in. See you later, Yappy. Oh, yep, all right. There you go, folks. My peppercorn, spalted peppercorn bowl with my revised Sean juice. Have a good day, guys. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button. Cheers.